And we'll go from here. All right. Looks like my thing's working. Okay. All right. Well, like I was saying, I've graded a lot of stuff. Hopefully I got you guys' mostly taken care of. And my online class, I worked a bunch on to get them under 100, which was really fun and hard, but I think I got there. I may not have, I think I have all of y'all's chapter 4 graded enough to where you should be able to make your fixes. Make sure you make your fixes before you turn in chapter 8, okay? If you need to fix your template, go back and fix your template. I'll show you how you can copy, paste. I think I did that the other day. I'll do it again and show you how to copy it from one to another.
You just click them all and then copy them and move it over, or is it something else simple?
Basically, you highlight the geometry, all the lines, circles, whatever in your drawing in chapter 4, and then Control C, and then Control V it into your updated template. So the other day, I did show you how to fix your template. Let me see if I can get this to come up the right one. I think I fixed it to where 25 is my default now. And the next semester, I'll have to fix it where 26 is my default, I guess. Anyway, not worried about it. Okay, let me see. So this was, bless you, this was my updated template. So to open your template, there's two ways you can do this. You can just start a new drawing like we've been doing, and then go in, fix your template stuff, and then do a save as. That's probably the easiest way to do it. The main thing is once you get done with that, close that file out so you're not tempted to use it accidentally and put geometry on it accidentally, and it's your template. So basically what I'm saying is I could go and do a new drawing, and this was my updated template, right? And so I start off. Now, my mistake that I made is I saved it here. Well, that's not where I want to save my template. Now, when you guys get ready to turn a drawing in, please save it in this state where it's on one of the two layouts. If it's a metric drawing, you're going to save it where it's on the metric layout. If it's an inch drawing, obviously it's going to be on the inch layout, and save it in this state. Okay? Don't save it over here. Okay? Now, for your template, yes, this is a great place to save it, which I didn't the other day. So that's something I can fix here. Now, one of the things that some of you guys, whoops, for your viewport. Now, let me see. Let me see if it'll let me pick multiple things. Now, I don't know how to turn this on, but I like it. I thought I wasn't going to like it, but there is a way for you to be able to pick your selections. Now, I'm not sure how to turn that setting off or on, but it's kind of cool. So if you get this option where it gives you two little squares, like close together, kind of offset off each other, if you pick, then it says, what do you want, a line or a viewport? Well, I want my viewport. And some of you guys have your viewport set up here like this. And that's not what I want. One of the last things that we did after we fixed the scale field is we picked our viewport, and then we picked one of our grips and we dragged it down. So if that's something that you need to do to fix it, which I don't think anybody in here that's already in here needs to fix it. There's some people online need to fix it, and there was a couple of people in here, but I don't remember exactly who. Anyway, bottom line is fix it. If your field needs fixing, like this one right here, some of you guys didn't have capital letters, right? So if you double click on this this field here, then that just opens that's DD edit. Okay, we talked about that the other day, where that's you know, how you edit text or edit dimensions. All right. Well, once you click on that, then you have to edit the field. So you have to double click on that. And if you'll remember right from the other day, file name is what we had selected. Make sure it's in uppercase, and you only want the file name selected. So some of you guys had the extension, some of you guys had the full address of it, and so it was like taking up all kinds of space. So the reason that we select uppercase is so that it doesn't matter how you type in when you save your drawing, right? Because that's the whole point of, if you'll use your the assignment name as the name of your file, then it'll automatically fill that in there. And if you put a date on it, that's fine. If you put your name on it, that's fine. I had some people, they added their name to the end of the file. That's cool. That helps me to know. Here's the other thing. When I grade this in Blackboard, it does not tell me, except up in the tab on my browser, what assignment I'm on. So I get lost if I can't, like, if you don't save it as the right one, then, depending on, you know, if I'm grading a whole bunch of them, I'll like, wait a minute, is that the right file? And I have to get, because some people, you know, they'll turn in the wrong file accidentally. Anyway, so, you know, saving it as the correct file name helps me out so that I can do that. And of course, once you've fixed all this here, you hit OK, and then you just hit Close Text Editor. That was a majority of it. The other things that people needed to fix is they watched my other videos and they didn't fix the standard dimension style and turn it into a metric one. You guys, for the most part, did that. Good job. But that's because I went over it in here. And then I had to download it, upload it for these people online, and some of them had already zipped on past it. So hopefully they will fix that, because when you get to your metric, the issue with the metric one, which is why I had us change the standard one into metric, was that under primary units for metric, you have trailing zeros that you turn off or suppress, okay? You don't suppress the leading zeros. You're like, what does that mean? Well, I mentioned it the other day. If you look at a mechanical pencil, they're in millimeters. It says 0.5 millimeters, or it says 0.9 or 0.7. Well, in inches, we don't put the 0 in front of the decimal place. So we just say it's 0.5, it's 0.25. But we also allow the zeros behind at the end. So for metric, we suppress the trailing zeros and not the leading. And then on inch, which also both of these need to be annotative, and I'll show you how to fix that. But see, on this one, for the inch one, the leading zeros are suppressed, but not the trailing, because the amount of zeros that show up is important. If you have two places for a tolerance, which we talked about the other day, you have to show this. Otherwise, the measurement could be interpreted way off, way different. So leave the zeros, trailing on inch. All right, now under fit, this is where you can tell it to be annotative or not. So when we change standard into our metric annotative, and all annotated means is it will scale with your viewport. When you scale your viewport, it will scale the text and the dimensions and all that fun stuff. So you want to make sure that's checked on both of them. And we talked about the text sizes. Some of you got, well, you guys for the most part had yours correct. It's just some people didn't take the time, like they made the layouts, but they didn't bother fixing the dimension styles. Or they may have done part of the dimension styles and then they didn't do these multi-leader styles, which for this one, you can make a metric one. You just copy the annotated one and change it. And then there was a couple of things we had to change on the annotated one, which is the inch version. So, and if you want to, like when renaming things, all you do is you pick it in your list here, whether it's under dimensions or this, and you right click and you can just go to rename. Like if I wanted this annotated one to say annotative inch, I could right click on it. I could rename it, put a space, and I could put inch. And then if I wanted it to be capital, I could make it capital, you know, that's not a big deal. The main thing on capitalizing is any notes that you put, any text. The only thing that's okay to be lowercase are metric tolerances, and you're not doing any of those, so we're good. All right, does anybody have any questions on any of this stuff? Okay, so I have my, well, I started a new drawing, which is using my template. So any changes that I would have made, like I'm going to go back over here to model so that this is where it starts. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save as, which is what it's going to do anyway, right? Because I just started a new drawing and it should do save as no matter what. So if I click on save, it'll go to save as, and instead of a drawing, I'm going to change it to a template file, and I'm going to make a new template file. I'm just going to pick on this guy, and I'm going to change my date. And see, this is a way you can figure out what your latest version is. You can say version 1, version 2, you can put a date on it. However it is that you need to differentiate it, that's what you do. And so I'm going to save that one there and hit OK. And then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stick it in my document. So I'm going to click on Documents, which is under here, my OneDrive, and I'll put it under Documents there. And then same thing. Save, OK. And now, like I said earlier, I'm going to close this out because I don't want to accidentally start on anything. Okay, so now if I've got my template fixed, now I can just open up a chapter 4 drawing. So here, we'll go to open, and see, this is where you have to look at this. Oh, it's under template. So I don't want template. I want drawing, so I change it back to drawings, go back to here, go to, maybe I need to hit documents. There we go. There's documents. And let's see if I can find for something. Let's see, there's 923.25. Now I want one for, oh wait, that would be okay. Yeah, 923.25 would be okay. There's 411. Yeah, let's try that one. All right, so this one is one of my current ones, and well, as we found out the other day, it'll copy over your old dimension styles, so I guess that doesn't really matter which one I pick. But this is the one that I did this time. I guess I could go back and pick a different one. Well, here, I'll pick that one. All right, so I'm going to open this one. Oh no, it doesn't like it. That's okay. So let me look over here on metric. There's that. Let's see what I have for dimension styles. Okay, that's all the wrong ones. Well, not all of them, but like that guy needs to be deleted. Now, here's the thing. This will help out my people online. How do you delete one that you made? Well, it's real simple. You can right click on it and you can hit delete. Cannot be deleted. It's either current or in use, and the current drawing cannot be deleted. Oh, well, that's always great. Well, if you can't delete it, that's okay. Just make sure that you go in and you adjust the standard one to be correct. So I'm going to click set current and then see if I can delete it. So I made standard current. So let's right click. Let's hit delete. Are you sure you want to delete it? Oh, there it is. So as long as it's not set current, you can delete it. And then remember what I did last time is I adjusted the standard one to be metric, which means that you have to go under modify, under fit, you got to hit annotative, and then you have to go through and change all of this stuff over to metric. And I have that in my other video. Anyway. All right. So let's see. This one looks pretty good because I drew it. Imagine that. So if I wanted to put this from, I fixed my stuff on my chapter 4. So how do I get my chapter 4 over to onto my new template that I fixed? Well, what I want to do is go back over here to the start, and I'm going to make a new one, and let's see. Let's go back to browse templates, and let's see. This one's the one I just fixed, and hit open. All right. Now let's go back over to 411, and I'm just going to pick and grab everything, and then we're going to do like we copied and pasted every other time we copied and pasted. Control C. It's also called copy clip, but let's see, under home. So you under your clipboard here, see you've got, there's copy clip, that's the same thing. I'm just going to do Control C, and then I'm going to go over to my new drawing that I'm starting, and I'm going to do Control V. And you'll notice that there's probably an issue, right? I probably need to fix my limits on this new drawing because it's metric. So think about that. If you're copying a metric geometry stuff from 11 or 7, well, you're not doing 17, but on this one for sure, because you have to dimension this one, so you have to fix it. So I need to fix my limits. So I'm going to go into limits, and I honestly don't, I mean 0, 0 is always the bottom, and I don't remember how big this thing is, but you know what, 200 by 200 should cover it. And I'm just guessing. You're like, well, where'd you come up with that one? I pulled it out of nowhere, pulled it right out of the air. So I'm just going to go 200, comma 200. Now, the reason that I did that is because it wasn't going to let me zoom out from where I'm at right here. That's because I didn't have my limits fixed. And that's why you have to set your limits, or at least think about them when you start drawing. How much area do you need? Do you need more than 12 by 9? If you do, then you have to fix that. All right, so now I can zoom out like so. What's the other thing I need to think about? What's another setting that's going to have to be adjusted? I had to fix my limits. There's another one that deals with the line types. Yeah, line type scale, LTS. So LTS is going to be about 12 on that one. Why do I know that? Because I've done it 15, 20 times. Now, if you have a Even, well, it was the same on my laptop, but what if you have a 15-inch laptop? What if you have a 14-inch laptop? What if you're using a Surface, you know, that's a laptop? As long as it runs Windows, it'll work. Theoretically, a MacBook might, because AutoCAD apparently will run on a Mac. And apparently it might be the same, because I was told by one of my online people that I'm going to confirm it, because I'm going to have them give me a screenshot and say, hey, give me a screenshot, bless you, by the way, of what it looks like so that I can say, oh, cool. I'm just hoping that that person is not wanting to be in CAD, because if they are, they're still going to have to get a different computer, because Inventor won't run on there, and neither will SolidWorks or Revit. Those are all programs that we use in the CAD program, besides AutoCAD. But for you guys that are just in here for getting CAD 100, you're good to go. All right. So Andrew, you might have been able to use your computer. I don't know. Not Andrew. You're not Andrew. You're the wrong guy. I hate that. Hate it when I get the wrong person's name. Anyway, so I fixed my line type scale. I'm going to go over here to metric. I'm going to activate my viewport and center it up. Move it over like that. Now, this is the correct orientation for how you're supposed to set this guy up. I had lots of people that gave me a left side view. Some people weren't paying attention and they flipped the top view up vertically over the side view. And I'm like, dude, that's not how it works. So anyway, had a lot of fun showing people how to do this. You can tell the people that went back and watched the videos. There you go. All right, so anyway, for dimensioning, I'm not going to do every one of these dimensioned, okay? The main reason is I want to show you some things, how it works. I showed you the other day some dimensioning, so I'll do a couple. And then I'm going to leave you on your own devices to do it. Everything is due by the end of the week. If for some reason you need extra time, you need to talk to me and let's figure out what's going on and so on. But I think in general, you guys are in pretty good shape. You know, your grade should be close to where to be pretty good. So, and I'm going to get everything graded and caught up. So I really don't have time to go and dimension all these for you. Plus, I want to see what you guys have picked up. Okay? Hopefully something. So, some rules to remember for dimensioning. So this is like a review, right? And this will help you in the final, because I'm not going to go over the final. Now, I do have the final set up for 2 takes. So if I get it graded beforehand, if you do it, and I get it graded beforehand, I'll probably give you some feedback. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'll give you some feedback so that you can fix some things if you want to. A lot of times people do the final and they're done. Maybe they ran out of time, and that's fine. But make sure that you read the directions, because part of the final, part of the grade for the final is following directions. Can you follow directions? I think you can. You know, which side do I tell you to draw? I give you all that information. You know, did you remember to adjust your line type scale? Did you adjust your limits correctly? No. Did you put it on the right layout? Did you scale your layout? Those are all things that you have to keep in mind. All right, so dimensioning. Do not dimension to hidden lines. Do not dimension to the center line of things that are hidden. Same difference. You may pick the end of a center line, yes, or the end of a line, even if it's inside a view, as long as the dimension is not inside the view. Those are okay things to do. You're supposed to put dimensions where you see them best. You're supposed to put them between the views. Now, can I put this dimension down here between the view anywhere? No, I can't. So there are some dimensions, and I'm going to have to make sure I'm on the right layer. So a couple of things to remember. If you're going to have to use a multi-leader, which this one doesn't need, so I can use my dimension tools. So I don't really need to change my overall layer to dimension, but I could, like here, I could change this over to dimension so that everything's the way I want it. Then I can go over to annotate, and I can hit use current, or I can put it on dim, whichever one, doesn't matter. Now this one happens to be metric, so I'm going to make sure that I have my annotated metric. Now I want to check and make sure that, and see, notice that it copied extra stuff over. Ooh, yeah. So let me make sure that this guy is right. Let's see, go under units. Yep, this is good. So it says that my trailing zeros are suppressed. That's what I want. Let's make sure everything's set. Yep. Yep, this is the one I did in class because it's got the weird numbers on it. There we go. Good deal. All right, cool. All right, so I know I'm ready to go. Annotated metrics, what I want to use. And so now I'm going to go linear 1-to-1. So to figure that out, well, here, X out of that. You got to figure out, well, hit escape. You can't be in dimension and try to flip between them. So anyway, you need to figure out what scale you need over here first. That's your easiest thing. I showed you last time what happens if you don't. So this one's set to 1-to-1, so yeah. So when I come back over here and I click on linear, and it's not going to ask me this time, but this down here is your annotation scale. Now what else did I tell you about needing to have on? Remember your magic triangles down there at the bottom. They need to be on here, and the magic triangles need to be on when you have your viewport activated. You're like, what the heck are the magic triangles? Those are the ones that are down here by the annotation scale. Has a little triangle with an O, like the little scale with an O, and then a little lightning bolt. And then if you were to, let me hit escape, go back over here and you activate your viewport, then you also, oh, mine doesn't have both of them, so show annotative object. So you know what would happen if I left that unchecked? My dimensions won't show up. That would be bad. I don't think it's going to automatically turn itself on. So let's make sure that I have both of them on. So let's click on that. So I have my magic triangles on there. And why are they magic? Well, they're magic because when they're on, they can show up. When they're not, where'd my stuff go? So if you go back and forth between model space and your viewport and stuff doesn't show up, that could be why. Okay, so don't be afraid to move your views. As long as they stay lined up, you can move them further apart from each other. Like maybe this guy right here needs to move up a little bit because I need to stick some dimensions in between him. So like, you know, I'm supposed to dimension this guy where I see him as a rectangle, not round, okay? But I don't think I have room here, so I'm going to put it on the side view because that's going to work, okay? But I also can put this dimension here, and I can layer them. I can hit enter or my space bar. I can do it again. This is what we call baseline dimensioning. And then I can do my overall dimension. And that's a little close, but you know, we'll see how much room I have later on. Now you see how much space I put between those. Yes.
Can you try to do that baseline dimensioning thing again?
Sure. I'm on the wrong one. There we go. So baseline dimensioning. There's a couple of ways you can do it actually. You do have a up here where it says under annotative, this is where you pick which kind of dimension you want. But you can also click on here and do baseline or continuous. So if you do it by hand, then what you do is you just click on linear. The first one has to be just here. You pick it and then you pull it down or pull it over, whichever direction it needs to go, and you pick about how far off you want it to be. The main thing is you want to be consistent on how far off it is. So then for my next level, I got two things I can do. I can either do linear or I can flip this over to baseline, and then it'll automatically put my baseline by picking here and here like that. Now what I did before was I went linear and I picked my dimension that I wanted and I stuck it here. Then I just went into linear again. And you're probably thinking I should put the dimension over here, but I'm not. I'm going to put it over here because I can stack them. And I'm just using linear and then picking my distance out. And then I hit enter to go back into it again, like so. And I'm not a fan of this putting a dimension from here to here for telling how tall this boss is. I just want the overall distance. So I'm going to hit linear and I'm going to put in my overall. And you're like, well, why didn't you put, and what I'm doing for spacing is I'm just trying to make them fairly even. And when I'm talking about even, I'm looking at how far the end of my extension line is from my dimension line. And I want to keep it fairly consistent. Looks like I keep getting a little closer each time, but well, those are close. So am I going to be real picky on, you know, exact distances? No. But there is something you can do, like if you use that baseline, it will automatically space it. But what if you don't have room for that on here? So let's go back over to our layout and hit hide here. All right. I don't have a whole lot of room. Well, let's see what we can do here. All right, I know I'm going to have to put some dimensions down here. So I'm going to click on here. And now, when it does this, please take the time to pick on it and grab the grip and drag it in between if you can. If it doesn't look good, if it's too close, that's okay. Let it stick out, that's fine. But if you can, pull it in between. I know that's hard for you guys to see. Let me, where did they go?
Can you turn this one on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, that probably helped. But let me go in and change the thickness for this guy. Let me make him that thick. Maybe see if that'll come up better. There we go. All right, now you can see the dimensions a little better. Okay, so those are about the same distance there. And then I'm just using linear, and I'm going to try to space it. Now, when I go horizontally, what I try to do is this distance from here to here, I try to make it about this distance or about text height and a half, maybe somewhere in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I don't really want to put the overall depth here because I don't really have room down here for that. So where else can I put that? Well, I can put it up here on this guy. Now, the other thing is I use the front to dimension this, so I need to use the front up here. So make sure that you think about what datum or what surface that you dimension from. If you dimension from the front on the side view, then dimension from the front on the top view, or vice versa. If you dimension from the left on the front or the top view, then you need to dimension from the left and the other view that lines up that way. Okay? Think of it like that. I started out from the bottom, so if I was going to put a vertical dimension on this one, which I'm not, I can do that because I have this distance from here to here. And the main reason for me not putting it on the front view is because when you add those extension lines, sometimes I think it can mess with your shape description. Is what when you look at it, especially if you're just looking at it in black and white. Yes.
Your cylinder, is there a reason you didn't put diameter on the?
Oh, I didn't fix it yet. That's a good reason. So how do you get the diameter to show up? Yeah, I do need that. See, this needs to say diameter so that I know it's a circle. That's a good call. So I just double click on it, and then you can go up here to symbol and add diameter. And then you just hit close text editor. So it won't do that automatically on the linear dimensions. It will on the radius ones or the diameter ones that you use for where you see a radius or a hole, not a positive cylinder. So that's why I had to edit this one. So you just double click on it. The command is called DD edit. It's just like when I was editing the text for that field on your layout. I'm gonna hit escape to get out of that because I don't want it. So that's a good call. Good reminder there. That does need to have a diameter symbol. I've got people that stick dimensions out here. Well, on this one, there's nothing that I really need to do that for. But I don't have anywhere else to dimension this thickness where it's solid. So I just need to look at, and here's something you can do. The cool thing about AutoCAD is if you wanted it to be lined up exactly with that 15 on the side view, I can do that. Once you pick your two lines and then it wants you to pick where this is at, I can move this over and I can actually pick that endpoint. It says apparent intersection, which is fine. And then now it's the same distance as the 15. So that's kind of cool that you can do that. Now, the difference between this distance and this distance is I use that baseline up here for that. Well, what if that's a little too much spacing? I mean, it's a nice spacing, but what if I need it to be a little bit tighter? How do I fix that? Well, if you want it to be all the same, you can do this. There is a tool up here when you're under the Annotate tab and under Dimensions, there's a little measuring tape that's got a couple of arrow leader looking things going left and right. And if you hover over it, it says adjust space. So what does that mean? That means I can adjust the space and make it even. Now, sometimes you have to think about if the auto doesn't work for you, what you can do is you can go in and actually think about the size that it needs to be. Like the standard that we have set, which is what that baseline up there on the top view is set to 9 for the spacing between them. Well, what you can do is you can click on this adjust spacing. You pick your shortest one first, and then you pick the next one out, and then the next one out, and then you hit enter. And it asks for a value or automatic or auto. Well, if you try auto, you can see what it looks like. Does it make it too squished? Not necessarily. Is a little close, yeah. But does it look bad? Not so much. So we don't have a lot of room. I didn't have you guys draw a different piece of paper bigger, right? This is what we got. And I don't want this to be scaled down because then your dimensions overpower the views. Doesn't look good. So, well, on this one, since it's kind of tight, we can do that. So let me just show you what it looks like over on your viewport. See? That looks okay. See, I've still got a little room here, so if I wanted to activate this and bring it down, I can. Now, if you guys have a hard time keeping your scale because you accidentally scroll your scroll wheel, you can just type in P for pan, enter, and then it'll have a hand, and you can just move it around, and then when you're done, hit enter to finish it out. And here's exactly how you do it. P, enter, now you get the little hand, and then you can just move it around and get it where you want. And then you hit enter to finish it out, which I use spacebar. Now, something I want to tell you. Don't try editing or dimensioning from here. You'll just get yourself into trouble. Trust me. You'll forget and you'll scale it accidentally, even if you lock it. So come back over to model space if you're going to put dimensions in. Okay, so we fixed that diameter there. I've got these. Now, what if I didn't like that spacing? Well, I can do this, and I can go back and I can respace them. So what spacing? I had them at 9, so what happens if I tried, well, I don't know, let's try 8. That's 8 millimeters. I don't know that that's going to make much difference, but let's see, 8. Enter. Okay, that's not bad. So let's see, what else do we have? We could do, and I'm just, re-picking the same ones, shortest, then the next, then the next. Enter, and then let's see, I could try 7. Enter. Okay, that one actually looks pretty good. So I like that a little better. So I'm going to use 7 for my distance there. And you're like, well, how did you come up with that? Well, remember, if you go back to your dimension style, one of your settings is baseline. That's what that does, your baseline setting. So when you do baseline dimensioning using the little baseline tool up here, it will automatically put it at 9. Well, if you knew just from experience that maybe 8 or 7 looks better, you could set that as your default, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it, and you could just use that tool and you'd be fine. But if you need to adjust the spacing, you can do that. Now the difference here is, like on an inch drawing, your text is wider. So when you do vertical dimensions, sometimes the spacing doesn't work right, and so you have to go in and adjust it. Or if you're fairly consistent, like mine look pretty good. I'm not going to say that they look horrible on yours if you just eyeball them. As long as they look pretty close, I'm okay with it. But this style of dimensioning is what we want. All right, so what else is missing? Well, I need an overall dimension up here. And also, like I said, from the front, I need to locate this. And see, that has a decimal, so it shows up because we have the zeros suppressed. None of the rest of them have a, a .0. They're just by themselves. But this one, it'll add the decimal for us. That's good. And then I need an overall here. And that looks about the same. Yeah, pretty close. All right, now what? Well, I need to put a dimension on this hole and this hole. Where can I do that? Well, depending on how much room I have, if you'll come down and you'll use the diameter one, you can pick on your circle. Like this one, I could pull it down here. It's okay to cross an extension line, just not a dimension line. So like, you're not going to pull it like that because you can't cross a dimension line. Now I could stick it up here like this. That looks kind of good. And then if I needed to put this one over here, up here, I could do this because I don't really have enough room to stick it over here. I'd like to, but I don't think I have enough room. So if I were to do this, remember I said as long as it's between 15 and 75 degrees, it's not horizontal, it's not vertical. It's about 15 and 75. As long as you keep them in that kind of angle, the rule says they want you to try to keep them up, above the, above, let's say above the horizon, if you will. But I don't care as long as it isn't in the way of something like, trying to pull it down here through these. Like I could have pulled it down here if I wanted to. But this is an okay spot to set that one. If I had room, I'd pull it up here and I'd pull that one up here. And it's okay for them because there's no other good spot to really stick them. Like pulling this guy down here, you might get confused with all this and it's all jumbled up. We don't want that. All right, so let's see. Let's make sure that we've got all our dimensions. All right, so I have this kind of space so that I have a little bit of space up here. This space and this space are about the same. And then, I've got my dimension extension lines pretty close down here, and that's fine. So I'll just deactivate it so I can. All right, so let's see. I've got the diameter of this. That's good. I've got the diameter of this, the diameter of this. I've located the centers, located the center. I gave my overall dimension, right? This is where I see this dimension here. I can do this one over here. And then I've got this one, and then this one, then this one, then this one. So, any questions on that? So now all I need to do is, now in the other classes, like the future classes, like as you continue on, we would have notes on here. Like we might have the material, or we might have a note that says, all fillets and round are whatever, or dimensions, all dimensions are ANZ Y14 dot whatever 2009, or all dimensions are in inches unless otherwise noted, or all dimensions are in millimeters unless otherwise noted. Those are notes that we would have. I'm not worried about it on these. I just want you to be able to dimension it. I want the views correct. I want the line type scale correct. And I want them scaled to a standard size. I'm not asking for a lot, am I? I hope not. So if I'm happy with this, which I don't think I'm missing any dimensions. So if I were to give this to somebody, I think they can make it. Hopefully. So let's see. I'm going to save it. And since I used my new template, make sure it's under documents. So we got documents. And so this one's going to be P8 dash, oh, what one is it? I don't know which one it is. Let's go look it up. Because remember, the 8s are different. So let's go to chapter 8 real quick. Let's see. All right, that one is 8-8. All right, so we're going to make it 8-8. Looks like I did it a day later last year. So 8-8, which would be a Tuesday. And then I'm going to put my 10/7/25 and save it. Okay, so now I'm ready to turn this in for 8-8 on chapter 8. And that's how you copy it from one drawing to the other. And that's how you do the correct way of adding the diameter symbol. You just double click on it to edit it. That's how you add it. The other day we talked about, let's see, one of these is not like the other. Wow, I've graded a lot. Let's see. Well, it was on here earlier somewhere. Thought it was. Well, I was going to look at the dimension one, but I don't see it. Oh, there it is. That's one of them. Oh, I saved that the wrong one. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Yeah. All right, so this is one of the ones we did the other day. And so this is an inch one. Now remember, this is how you fix things like, and honestly, this is the only one where I think you have to actually put anything special as far as editing, like one of your leaders there, or your leader dimensions. But remember, if you have more than one of the same hole, you can do 2x, right? If you have a chamfer, you can do it like this, like on that one bracket one that you're going to do, there are 4 chamfers. So you can put a note on one of them on the side view that has 4x and then whatever by 45, or if you want to give both distances, you can do that. So it'd be something similar to this where it says 4x space 0.12 by space x space and then either an angle or a distance. So that's how you can do that one. You're like, which one are you talking about? Well, what I'm talking about looks like, oh, if I can find it. Let's see, try that one. We just won't look at whose name it is. So this one, all right. So say on this one, it's got chamfers here, so you're going to put a note for that. Of course, you're going to have center marks, and then you can dimension to the end of the center marks. And go back. Go back. No. See if I can find mine. And probably not. All right, we can just go to open. All right, so that was 412. So that was what, 411? Let's try an 11. 411. Let's try that one. See if that's the right one. Oh, wrong one. Must be 412. Try a different one. Let's see. 412. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, there's 412. All right, so like I said, this one you can do a leader here. Make sure you're on the right layer, which I'm not. and make sure you're on the right one. So like I said, you need to make sure you're on annotated, right? And I need to be on the right layer. So go back to dimension, and then go back over here. So like you can do that, or you can do the multi-layer. You could pick the middle of it like that. Of course, I'm not going to dimension it here. I'm going to dimension it in model space. So it would be better if I did it over there, right? Yep. So let's be a good example. We'll come back over here. So if you pick that, and then so like it would be 4, put your cap locks on, it'd be 4x space, and I don't remember what that was. Was it a 1/2 inch? I think it was a 1/2 inch. Let's see. Now that one is 8. That's the last one. SP8-1. So it says 4x 0.5 by 0.5. So we'll just do 0.50 space x space 0.50. Just like that. And then you hit close text editor, and there you go. Now, something else to remember. Whoa. So this one is scale 1 to 2. Let me check something. What's missing? My dimension didn't show up. What happened? What's not checked? Oh, there it is. Now, is that the same size as this? No, it's not. So what did I do wrong? Well, what I did wrong was I didn't check what this scale was, and I didn't come over here and fix this scale to match. See, now it fixed it. Now, remember the other day I showed you that when you pick that, it actually has both of those scales on there. And if you needed to move them or whatever, it can kind of get annoying. And this is more of an advanced thing that you probably may or may not care about. But if you didn't like that and you wanted to get rid of them, I showed you the other day where you could click on your dimension, go up here to add delete scales, which is under annotate, and then you could pick the one you don't want and hit delete, and then hit OK, and now it only has the one scale, which is nice. So make sure that whatever this, whoops, wrong one, sorry, whoa, whatever this is here, when you go back over to model space, this scale, your annotation scale, has to match. Otherwise, they won't be the same size. Okay? So when you start dimensioning, it may pop up and ask you what scale you want to use. Well, you need to think about that ahead of time and go, oh, wait a minute, what scale was the viewport? Go check that, hit escape, close it out, whatever, and then go back over to your viewport and make sure that you have it set the same. All right. That was what I was going to ask. Yes, sir.
So I got 2 questions. So this is the assignment, because we're just doing it in a weird order, I think. This is assignment SP8-1, right?
Yeah, it's the last one.
Got it. And can you show how to do that thing with the text again? How to
The leader?
make the leader. How do you how to delete one scale from the leader?
Okay. Well, so let me go back and, all right. So now this has 2 different scales on it because I don't have this the right size. Even if I change it back, it's going to have them on there. Yeah. So I've got 2 scales on here. What you do is, like I said, under annotate, go over here to add delete scales. And then I don't want the 1 to 1 because 1 to 2 is what my viewport's set for under my, whoops, under my layout. Figure out how to turn that off. So I can pick the one that I want to delete, which is 1:1, and hit delete, and then hit OK. And so now there's only one.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? And the reason I did it I just wanted to show you that one because it was an oddball thing, you know, something different that you might run into. So since the hole is closer to the outside, where are you going to put your dimension to locate it? The vertical one, precisely, actually. It's going to have to go on the outside, right? Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. Because it's closer over here. So I can click on here, do a linear. And even though, so one of the questions that, oops, sorry, wrong one. Always make sure you're in the right thing. Make sure you're on the right scale. And then try it again. I forgot what I was going to say. All right. Okay. Now, it says 3.62. Well, it's 3 inches, and then the bottom is given as 0.62. So you want to look at your dimensions and see how many decimal places they have. I think all of these are the same. So you don't have to worry about going in and changing a random one to a different amount, okay? So whatever the number are, so like if you had your original dimension style, if you had originally had it set to the precision, so like under inch, modify, and you go over here to your primary units. If you had that set to 3 places originally, then you'd have to fix that. Well, that's why when I went over this with you guys, I decided, you know what, 2 places is actually more standard than 3. And what I was thinking was when you're drawing, and that's actually a different set of units than your dimensions, okay?
So you change something or no?
You don't have to, because the way I went over it for you guys, I set it up for 2 places. But if, let's say you were in another class and the tolerance was set to 3 places for the majority of the dimensions, then you would go in here, you would change the precision to 3 places because the tolerance is tighter for most of the dimensions. Now, if you had an oddball that had 4 places, well, you don't have to round it. You can actually go in and modify. You can actually adjust it manually using properties. But like I said, that's up here, above your pay grade for right now. But I do go over how to do that in my other classes. So anyway, that's why I had you guys set it to 2 places. Whereas if you looked at my original videos that are on the assignment, I had it set to 3. So then people would have to go back and set it to 2. I wasn't thinking that, oh, by the way, most of these have 2 places, which is that's your common number of decimal places. Anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. All right. Let's see, what else? Okay, so when I dimension this hole up here, can I just do 1 dimension? Or do I have to dimension it 4 times? I can do 1. The big hole right there, the big circle, that one also has 2. So when I dimension it, then I need to edit that dimension, right? So when you do your dimensions, So like diameter, and then you pick this, right? And so then how do you fix this? Well, as long as you're not in a command, you can just double click on it and it'll do that. And then, so there's two of them, right? So then it's 2x space and you hit close text editor. And that's how you can, and see, it's ready for me to edit something else. But that's how you can and change that. Okay. So you just double click on it and you can edit it. So when you do the holes up there, you can do a 4x on the dimension and fix it. So make sure that you fix the drawings that we need for chapter 8. And which ones are those? Well, let's look at it. So chapter 7 and chapter 8. All right, so we did the two tutorials the other day. Now remember, don't get confused on the dots and the dashes. Okay. I think I changed them to make it less confusing, I hope. The dots are the tutorials and the dashes are the actual, regular assignments. So 8-1, and I tell you which one it is. It says it's the same as 4-1. So what if you got your 4-1 correct? You didn't even make any changes to it. You just need to put dimensions on it and call it 8-1. How do you do that? Well, that's real easy. So what I can do is I can go back to the start. I can go to open and I can go find 4-1. Let's see, when did I make that one? September 19th, 2024. Nah. Let's find, this was the one I made this time. Ooh, I put dimensions on it, but I forgot to save it. Okay. Well, we'll go open it. I put dimensions on it. Oh no. Well, the problem is it's the wrong file. If you turn this in and you turn it in as a chapter 4 file, I'm going to knock points off. Why? Because it's not named the right one. So how do I do that? Well, I put dimensions on it, right? So what I do is go to save as, obviously, or not obviously, maybe, I don't know. But you just go here and you can change the name of it to 8-1. And like I said, I'll just put my little 10-7. And now there's my chapter 8 drawing with the dimensions on it. But make sure you fix anything, like if you didn't get your top view in the right spot, or you don't have the right thickness on part of the top view or the side view, you don't have a measurement. So what happens when you go and you dimension it? Like, I may have let some slid by accidentally that looked good, and then I went back and started measuring things because I went, wait a minute, something's not right here. So I went back and measured a couple of them to make sure they were right, and come to find out a couple of them were wrong. So I had to go back and say, guys, you got to fix this. So if I missed it, am I going to count off for it? No, but I am going to go back and check to see if it was something I flagged on chapter 4 for you. And if you don't fix your chapter 4 stuff, I'm going to ding you a lot of points. Okay? Now, hopefully, I will have gotten all your chapter 4 graded. This goes for my online people, and quick enough so that you can get it dimensioned. And if you have to fix your dimension one, then go back and fix it. Hopefully, you'll have time enough to do that. Okay, I think that covers everything. Maybe. Okay, so one last thing, and I'm going to close this off and let you guys work, and I'm going to grade. So 8-1 is the same as 4-1. 8-2 is the same as 4-2. So you're going to have to use 4-1, 4-2. 8-3 is 4-3. 8-5 is 4-8. And listen, if you watch the videos on there, double think about them because they're not my videos. What would Mr. Doty do? Not what would Mr. Anderson do? What would Mr. Doty do? Not that he's going to do it wrong, but you have to remember that you don't use the same, not that he's going to do this. He's also big, hey, you don't use the dimensions, the placement of them. Like, yeah, you're using the dimension you use to draw it, but not in the same location. Just because it shows you, like on that L, that metric one that has the L with the round thing on it, it tells you how thick that L is, right? I don't dimension how thick that is. I dimension from the bottom up to it.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there may be a size dimension that you're given on these drawings that helps you to draw it. But that's not how I would dimension it because I want to use baseline dimensioning. So yeah, some of the dimensions will be the exact same. Some of them won't. So that's why, like, okay, how can it not be the same? Well, it's just the location or how it's dimensioned. That's what you want to do. So you're welcome to watch his videos if they work. They may not work because a lot of them didn't. But think about it, think about what I showed you. Think about putting them in between the views, not outside, unless it needs to be outside. Don't pull the dimension through a view just to stick it between them. But a majority of them will be in between. All right, 8-8 is 4-11. Let's see, 8-11 is 4-15. And I believe that's the one that you're supposed to do the left side view, and half of the people did a right side view. Not you guys, but my online people. 8-16 is one that you have to draw yourself. I will give you a hint. You have two views. Do not draw the side view. Draw a top and a front. And try to remember to put most of the dimensions between the views. Some of them will be below the front view, but there won't be any, there shouldn't really be any above the top view, because you can put them on the sides also, okay? The nice thing about two views is the sides, you can put them on whichever side that you need to and balance it out if you want to. So just remember that. That's one you have to draw. And if you're not sure what it looks like, I have the block of it. It's right here. People online are going, we can't say no. Oh, that's okay. I can find it anyway. I'll send you something. Okay. Well, anyway, I guess apparently somebody broke down the mouse. Oh, I also have the final. I have the final in here too. I think that's the final. Yeah, that's the final. If you need to look at it. Now the final is not in the book. It's something it's actually out of my old book. But I've used it for a long time. So let's just look at it real quick. Complete the attached drawing with 3 views in all dimensions. Make sure to use the correct line type scale. Make sure it's on your template. Make sure the viewport scaling matches what is on the title block, which if you got your field set up correctly, it will. Read and follow directions completely. Now I got to figure out how to turn this into an actual Word document, which I can. But here, let's do this. Let's blow it up real good. So this is the final. Now, how this thing is dimensioned, one thing don't ever do is put through on there. It shows it, but that's just an old thing. It's on the class.
Oh, you said we wouldn't see it in the.
Hey, you see it on this right there.
Well, I thought I was watching the picture.
You're fine. Anyway, no, I'm not going to hand it out to you. It's on there already. You can go ahead and do it anytime. But like, look at how the dimensions are given, okay? Don't dimension it exactly the way it shows it, okay? I'll just give you a heads up. Not every one of those dimensions are going to be in the exact same spot. Baseline dimensioning. Use your layers, use your colors, use your line types. Get on the right layers. It says draw a top, a front, and a left side view. So apparently I'm looking for a left side view. Okay. I will give you a hint. The bottom of that U shape lines up with the bottom of the hole. I'll let you have that. So don't draw two lines there that are hidden and overlapping, okay? Just saying. Remember to dimension to things where you see them solid. And I tell you which way is the front view. So now what I got to do is I got to go pull that document up, do a snippet of it, slap it on a Word document, put some picture information on it, and copy and paste that text over, I guess. And put the right class on there. I couldn't find the original file because somebody else made it. All right, so, and it's not due by Wednesday at Final Flip. It is due by the end of the week. Like I said, if for some reason you need extra time, which most of you guys are doing well, talk to me about it whenever you feel is appropriate. Or send me an email or, hey, Mr. Joe, whatever. Okay? All right. That's all I have to say about this. And if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to let you guys work. I'm going to grade. There are 2 possible submissions for the final. I won't guarantee I'll get them all graded if you do them earlier. Same. So do the best you can. Remember to dimension it the way I've showed you on these other ones. And you'll be good to go. But yeah, it's on there. You can get it. It's a big deal. It's on there already. There's no timing set up for when it's available. There's no it's going to go away at a certain time. It's on there. So anyway, I'll go ahead and knock off my